Hey guys, John here with one more silver update regarding margin rate increases. I'm not going to go on too much about it anymore. What's done is done, but most people understand sort of what I'm trying to say. A few people are either still confused or just, the diehards will just don't want to understand, and that's fine. I was going to respond to one particular video, but I think I might just summarize my thoughts just sort of in one last video regarding this. Okay, silver has had margin rate increases. People are still saying, despite trying to explain it, that it is manipulation. It was sort of true market on the way up. That's the true demand for silver on the way up. Then COMEX raised margin rates, and that's what took it down 30%. And it was that margin rate increase that took it down, and it was manipulation. One basic point that you have to understand. If it was true demand for silver, right, if people were really wanting silver, and this was the physical story that we're talking about, that I've been talking about for 2.5 years, the physical shortage that will develop as this end game plays out for silver, and how the paper contracts will unwind, sending the cost of physical sky high. If that was this moment, and that silver was reaching that point in time, you would see margin rate increases not have a single effect on the market. The fact that after a few increases, small but regular increases on CME, silver can drop 30%, the fact that that can even happen just goes to show you that whole lead up to that point in time was paper trades. It was people leveraged to the point where they couldn't even, or didn't want to, maybe most of them could afford that extra margin, but didn't want to. But the fact that it could collapse like that, 30% in such a short time for this is not a penny stock we're talking about. This is a commodity. This is stuff used in everything around the world, as well as money, as well as a safe haven investment. The fact that something like that can crash 30% in 2 weeks, don't tell me that if that was a real move in the underlying precious metal supply demand, that raising the margin rates like that would impact the price at all. It was paper speculation. That's the only way you can describe it. It's people who weren't interested in silver, who didn't care about the things a lot of people on YouTube care about regarding silver and its role as a money in the new sort of era that we're entering into with honest money and all that sort of stuff. These traders don't give a two flying rat's bottoms about it. All they care about is the next trade, and they're going to move on to the next trade now. Silver is finished. So the fact that CME can raise margin, and they've raised them all the way up. In fact, CME has raised, I checked their website, 57 times. But now this one up the top here, that was manipulation? Come on, give me a break. So, no, it wasn't. The CME raises when there's volatile moments. And you say, well, after silver, after the margins rate first time, it crashed 10%, so that made it more volatile. Well, firstly, it wasn't the first time. They've been raising it all the way up, or they've been changing it all the way up from the breakout of $20. They've been doing it the whole way up. Only this time, it crashed 10% the first day, and then whatever. So that beget more volatility, so then they had to increase it again. So yes, it does seem a little circular, but until this speculative phase of silver fizzles out, they're going to have to do that. And that might go to even higher points. They're not in it to make they're in this game to offer silver and gold and commodities freely tradable to make money. They're in it for the brokerage fees. They're in it for, they're not in it to go around collecting debt from people who have over-leveraged themselves to the max by having small margin requirements, and then their job is to go and file 100 million lawsuits for people who haven't paid their defaults or their margin calls. So they're going to protect themselves. And for people playing the paper game, say that 10 times fast, everyone, or you should be aware of the rules of playing in CME's playground. The traders are aware. I'm aware as a trader. If I log in If it's a public holiday, which a lot of people are pointing to May 1st being a public holiday, they decided to manipulate on that day. If it's a public holiday, I expect margins to be increased on everything across the board because it's low liquidity. That's something I as a trader know. I don't even think twice about it. Say, okay, the spread's widened up. Oil is now, instead of 6 pips, it's now 50 pips. Huge increase on a public holiday. Around news events, I know that the Australian dollar before our cash rate comes out, that spread will go huge, and then it'll come back down again. This is just markets. This is paper, and the fact that silver can be so affected by a paper market decision goes to show you that it was paper market affected by the CME. It wasn't the underlying physical commodity, because if it was, people would say, I've already paid 100% anyhow, or already planned to pay 100%, because I'm not in it for the paper game, I want the silver. If that was the reason why it went up, then the margin rate increase would have had zero effect, or very little effect, but it was speculator interest. Undeniable. I can't, it's one thing to be attached to silver, and to really believe that that was the beginning of the silver move, and that was silver doing its thing. It's one thing to have those opinions. It's another thing to deny the facts. Now, people are saying, John, because you sold your silver, you're just happy to see it go down. No. I still plan to invest heavily in silver. I've still got a core position. That lost 30% in the last 2 weeks. And I'm still very much invested in gold. So I'm even more so now than ever. I put a lot into gold now. A lot of my silver profits and whatnot. But I'm very much still invested in these metals now, more so gold, obviously. So I'm very interested to see how this sort of bull market develops. But that little blip on the radar, from 20 to 50 to 30, that was speculation. That was paper. It had nothing to. Oh, I won't say it had nothing to do, because I do believe part of that move from 18 or 17.50, I think was the bottom, up to $50. I do believe there was a substantial degree of that move was genuine underlying physical silver demand investment. I do believe that. And I think the speculation came in around the $30 mark, and that's why I'm seeing that level as a sort of a potential bottom in this market. Who knows? I'll sort of keep a tabs on that. But there's definitely, 100%, definitely a real part of this move was from genuine investor demand, and just the fundamentals of silver, definitely. But that exponential blow off top was speculation. So it's one thing to believe in silver. It's another thing to just deny the facts of what you're seeing. And, I didn't want to go there because I don't want to bring who is otherwise a good force in this industry. In fact, I won't mention names, but some people are saying that the shorts aren't subject to the same margin rate increases. That's categorically incorrect. Whether you're long or short on a contract, you have the same margin rate to have to put up with. Everyone's got the same, whether you want to go long or short. So that rumor floating around for people who should know a lot better than that, who's been in this game, is wrong. Okay, so I just want to nip that rumor in the butt right now. That's not the way it is. If you want to go long or short any commodity, you have a set margin rate, and that's there for you. And so what, actually, if it even is for one side of the market, if it's that side of the market where the CME is getting their pressure from. So, for example, if silver is going up, and up, and it's the shorts that, or say it's the longs that are creating the most risk in the market for the CME in terms of volatility, it seems to be the longs, because everyone's going long on the pullbacks. They're getting margin calls, even if they decide to just raise the margin rate just for the longs. So what? So what? That's their business to cover their asses. That's their business to make sure that the long side of thing doesn't go to $100 and then completely annihilate hundreds of thousands of investors. And yes, I do believe that they probably should have acted quicker in this market. Whether that, I've got actually even a crazier conspiracy theory than most of you silver bugs out there. I've got a really crazy conspiracy theory. If you want to hear it, I'll talk about it. All right, I'll say it. You've twisted my arm. What if they allowed this speculation to increase in silver as long as they did, knowing full well that, a crash would come when they increase the margin rates. What if that happened? What if that was allowed to happen, knowing it was going to happen, and then when gold and silver do eventually make their true moves, that'll lock a lot of people out of the market who possibly speculated with silver in this run-up, got burnt by, the massive 30% dip and possibly more that we're going to have in silver, and then don't want to touch these markets again. What if that is a way of getting the public, or a lot of the public, out of this eventual move that's going to come in the metals? That's just a crazy conspiracy theory. I'm just putting it out there, and I'm not saying I believe it, but, it's possible. That's something that I think could be in the minds of the most twisted and evil of us here on this planet. I don't know. It's just a theory. But what is this doing on my desk?